better. Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you. Welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Julia. I'm a contemporary singing specialist based in Australia, and today we are checking out some voice play, but not just any voice play, some voice play original music. This incredible group has been treating our ears with fantastic arrangements for literally more than a decade now, and I am so excited that they are releasing their own music. So without further ado, let us dive into Hunt the Sky by Voiceplay.
Steel in hand, we march as one, under moon and the burning sun. Sky beasts come with claws of flame, we strike hard and we take no name.
Through storm and rain, across the sea, we chase the beast and our destiny. From mountains peak to the depths below,
Axe in grip and we never slow.
hunt the sky, strike them down. Shield wall strong as we stand our ground. Wings may rise and the fire may fall. We fear no beast at all. Oh, oh, wings of black fire in their eye. Oh, oh, no rest till we hunt the sky.
Accidentally hearing the modulation has derailed my thoughts. Give me a moment. Yes, okay, that was it. That was what I wanted to talk about. I really like how they've left the arrangement sort of sparse. It really lets those percussive elements, which might feel a little bit more primal, shine through the arrangement. We can hear the lyrics super clearly because it's not quite so jam-packed with a bunch of different vocal layers just yet. The harmonies are a little bit more on the simple side. We're just laying that landscape, getting that modern Viking feel. Jeff's lows, though, they're so impressive because he can get kind of like different intensities out of them as well. If we listen to where he started, it's as if he's just adopting like a gentle speech quality. There's nothing too intense there. And as he gets even lower, the harmonic components of his voice get a little richer, and it gives us that low, beefy boom of a bass voice tone. Now, we know that Jeff can get a lot lower than this, but
Claws of flame, we strike hard and we take no name.
we have this lovely A3, but one of the things I wanted to note is that we haven't gone in super intense with these low tones either. Even our main lines, so our main melody line's a little bit further here. We're in a really light mechanism. We're not going for anything that's too intense right now.
Through storm and rain, across the sea, we chase the beast and our destiny.
So the dynamic, if it was to be on a scale of like 0 to 10, we're kind of sitting around like a 4 or a 5. Again, lots of room to grow there tension-wise. And because that arrangement is sparse, we get to appreciate these solo lines a little bit more.
No rest till we hunt the sky. The fires roar, the night grows near. Still we stand and we show no fear. From cliff to cloud, through ice and flame, the dragons fall and we stake our claim.
Yes, okay, so they're starting to fill in the arrangement a little bit more. We have expanded on our percussive element. If we go back to the beginning, we can hear that it's mostly this stomp clap. And now we're getting all kinds of like deliciously different tones from Lane with the percussion.
Gotta claim it.
Ooh! The percussive tones that Lane's chosen to use, they almost bounce and synergize over that super low bass sound.
Fall and we stake our claim.
It feels so much more full already, and yet we've really only just modified a couple of little things there. Voice-wise, so far, we haven't gone for anything that is too intense. We're sitting in a super light first register, particularly from our tenor lines. We're not going for something that is overly belty or powerful. We haven't thinned out to the point where there's any kind of registration shifts yet, but this lighter mix place does mean that we're not going to get quite as much fullness and intensity. The vocal folds don't need to come apart and collide with quite as much force for this kind of sound. And it's sitting really beautifully. The slightly brighter tones over Jeff's full fold contact, completely first register, chest voice, if you will, approach that he's having to take with his bass sound. Pitch can play a really big role in this. For our first register tones, usually the TA muscle is a little bit more active. This is the muscle in the vocal folds that shortens and stiffens the vocal folds. As we get higher and higher and higher, you actually have to work on being able to maintain a TA engagement the higher that pitch gets. So right now we're in a beautiful mix. That TA is still engaged, so we're getting those first register tones, but I'm excited to see how things might escalate. Let's keep going. I also love the aspiration that they put on hunt. It feels very, very primal.
Through raging waves and tempests roar, we fight as those who came before. No chains can bind, no beast can tame the wrath from the roaring flame.
Okay, so we're already a little bit more intense now on our main line. The harmonies are starting to get a little bit more movement as well. Let's just do a little side by side listen to that, just because we touched on it before, and then we'll keep listening because I love a good escalation.
Fires roar, the night grows near. Still we stand and we show no fear.
We show no fear. I feel like if you had to put it on an intensity scale of like 0 to 10, we're sitting kind of like around a 4 or a 5. I want you to hear how it feels a lot more forward and direct now on this main line.
Through raging waves and tempests roar, we fight as those who came before. No chains can bind, no beast can tame the wrath from the roaring flame. Hunt the sky, strike them down. Shield wall strong as we stand our ground. Wings may rise and the fire may fall. We fear no beast at all. On the wind, hear a battle cry. Rest till we hunt the sky. Through blood and flame.
Nya, 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 nya. If you took it a step further, it would just sound like it might not sound very pleasant, but twang is so important for contemporary singing, and they've definitely tuned up the twang in that backing vocal. It cuts so clean through the mix.
May rise and the fire may fall.
You know how I mentioned before that you have to find a way to keep the TA engaged the higher up you go? We're right around this tenor zone now where we're into the 5th octave, so the tones that we get out of having to sing on this particular pitch, that is a very specific coordination for him to be able to maintain that kind of intensity up there without it switching to a second register. It's a combination of, his individual voice, but then also learning to coordinate, keeping that TA engagement, that's stiffening as we're ascending up into this 5th octave. Higher you go, the harder it is to maintain that TA engagement. The complete opposite of that is when you use too much TA in order to get up higher, and you wind up with a shouting, intense, pulling chest quality, whereas here we don't get any of that. We have this beautiful blended smooth mix. There's lots of brightness coming through. This is a mixing technique to be able to keep intensity there, keep that TA engaged without changing to second register, and he moves through that really easily.
May rise and the fire may fall. We fear no beast.
There's even a little bit of like compression, like a hint of possible distortion up there. Use of compression though doesn't mean that the voice is being pushed. We've heard it a few times there where they've used some compression in order to add a particular effect to the voice.
May rise and the fire may fall. We fear no beast at all. On the wind, hear a battle cry. Rest till we hunt the sky.
Oh my goodness! Up to an F5, okay. Cool. that brightness and pinginess is getting more intense on those back lines. We can hear that, yeah?
On the wind, hear our battle cry. No rest till we hunt the sky. Through blood and flame, our names are sung. Honor forged in the battles won. No peace, no turning around till every beast has met the ground.
Still we ride on waving wind. The hunt is done, but the war begins. Through ash and bone, but we strike still with strength and unbroken will.
Hunt the sky, strike them down. Shield wall strong as we stand our ground. Wings may rise and the fire may fall.
We fear no beast at all.
Through storm and strife, honor never die. No rest till we hunt the sky. On the wind, hear our battle cry. Wings of black fire in their eyes. On the wind, hear our battle cry. No rest till we hunt the
Oh, that is so cool. Oh my god. Where did I think it's Eli. Where did he get up to? Oh my god. Yeah, we're getting up there. I believe it's him on that backing vocal that hits a similar note just beforehand though. Let me double check. Yeah. Okay, so it's a very similar tone. By the time you're up around that pitch, you are mixing your butt off. Do you hear how bright that is? So the twang thing I mentioned earlier, which is that bright, yeah, that quality, that is just dialed up to 1,000. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have Jeff with what I believe is a subharmonic. Let us revisit that.
Through ash and bone, but we strike still with strength and unbroken will.
hunt the sky.
Okay, so I have literally run out of piano. This is not a full keyboard, but I'm gonna show you guys anyway. I ran out of piano. I don't even know how I don't think I can shift it down. No, there's no buttons on this one. I can't shift it down. So this is just for example, this is a C4. This is a C3. This is a B2. For that note that he just did, let me re-find it. I might need to get a digital piano to double check this.
Broken will. Strength and unbroken will.
Hunt the sky.
So for those of you who don't know what a subharmonic is, when certain conditions are met, the pitch that the vocal folds are making and the vestibular or the false folds that are above, if those have a little interaction, it can create subharmonics, which are those frequencies below the fundamental that we are hearing. And in a lot of cases, that is produced by the false folds. So what we're hearing with that subharmonic is really an interaction between the frequency that he's producing with his true folds, as well as the frequency that the false folds are vibrating at, which would be a fraction of that fundamental frequency that's being produced by the true folds. And basically, it gives you this crazy beefy sound, which can be like up to an octave lower than the fundamental that you're singing. It's genuinely so cool. Anyway, returning to the arrangement, we are covering a massive range here. Things escalate dynamically, things escalate rhythmically. We're really getting a musical journey with the modulations too, and progresses the story from an auditory lens, and then we have that massive escalation at the end. I mean, it goes without saying the harmonies are tight because this is a fully produced version of the song. It'd be odd to go through a whole editing process and the harmonies not be tight. The recording and refining process allows for things to be as exact as you would like them to be, depending on how much time you have, of course. Yeah, the harmonies are tight. I like how there's different approaches with those harmonies as far as how gentle they want them to be, how much space they want surrounding them in order to feature that in the arrangement. I like the little musical hooks that we have in here as well. I love this call and response that they have here. With how spacious it started, my god, it ends beefy. I was gonna go into a bit of an explanation of what might be happening muscularly, going from a first register into a mix, having to navigate those higher pitches, but let me just summarize it to say that there is one muscle in particular in the vocal folds which gives us these first register qualities, and that is the TA or thyroarytenoid. And essentially, the higher you go up in pitch, the more difficult it is to keep that muscle engaged without overdoing it. And so the development of mixing techniques is often what's the minimal amount of engagement that I need from the TA in order to facilitate the tones that I want. If you overdo it, you wind up with that pulling chest sound. Often the shortening action of that muscle can then become counterproductive, because when you want to go up in pitch, the vocal folds have to lengthen. So if it's too engaged, if it's too intense, you might be fighting the lengthening process, and your result could be a massive voice crack. But in this case, we're hearing a bunch of techniques like twang, that metallic quality that we're getting through on those higher notes. There's also a little baby cry tone that you can get in order to foster twang. We hear it in moments in the solo lines in this song too, which can help make things a little easier to keep the TA engaged, but not so engaged that it's uncomfortable and you're like trying to hike up a really heavy sound. If you're just learning to mix, it can take a little while, but that combined with the resonance strategies to strengthen the harmonics, that's what can make things like belting a lot easier. It also contributes to that super bright, piercing vocal quality that we're getting on that high end. Like it packs an acoustic punch. Anyways, I think that is where I'm going to leave this one today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I reckon this could be a really fun one just to sing. Turn into a little group chant. Have some fun with it. Get your friends around. Have a sing. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I hope that you did as well. If you did and you liked this video, you can give it a like. And if you want more, you can always subscribe. But other than that, as usual, I hope you are staying safe. I hope you are staying healthy. And I'll see you next time. Bye! Oh god, I can't coordinate this. Not me choking on trying to growl out a subharmonic there. A whole octave. Ooh.